Hello and welcome to the Exam Hall. This is the podcast where every episode I sit down with a guest and we answer questions from what is known as the hardest exam in the world, the All Souls College Oxford Fellowship Exam. My name is Cherry and I am your host. I am an ex-education professional, soon to be uni student, and Muppets enthusiast. Let's go with that. All Souls College Oxford is maybe one of the most exclusive academic institutions in the world. Applicants must sit a grueling process of 4 3-hour papers, 2 specialist papers and 2 general papers, which is where we will be drawing our questions from. To be eligible to apply for All Souls, you must already hold an Oxford degree or be currently studying there at postgraduate level. However, here at the Exam Hall, we have no eligibility criteria. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is equal. So without further ado, let me welcome the guest for today's episode. It's only Buddy. Fuck.
It's only Buddy.
It's only bloody Patrick Swain.
It's only bloody fuck.
It's only
Thanks, Cherry.
It's only my bloody buddy.
Yeah.
Patrick Swain.
Hello, everyone. It's
Hi.
lovely to be here. It's lovely to be asked. And I was asked. This isn't, that sounded like I wasn't asked. I was asked.
You were asked.
It's lovely to be here.
Yeah. How's your day been so far?
Busy?
Busy?
Busy. Are we going to pretend we haven't spoken about this already?
Fuck off.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's been a busy day. Up early, doing work.
Riveting stuff.
Yeah. But having a lovely chat with my bud. I'm not going to say best bud. With my bud, Chip. You already had a best bud on this. That was the pilot episode.
Can I not have many best buds?
No, the best bud has to be the top bud.
Oh no.
Unless you've got a revolving Rolodex of best buds that you pick.
I have a Rolodex of best buds, but it's not like a rolling thing. It's just like I love everyone and sunshine and sparkles and rainbow. Why can't we all be best friends, Patrick?
Elevated buddy.
Elevated
buddy.
I'll take elevated buddy.
Member of fan group.
I am.
There we go. You're genuinely. I feel like
I am the president and sole member of the Patrick Swain fan club.
Yeah, it is wonderful. You've taken over the role from a couple of grandmothers at my old high school who'd be like, "Oh my God, it's Patrick. He's playing Jean Valjean again," and I'd be like, "Yes, I cannot hit these notes. Please forgive me."
Patrick.
Hello.
Welcome to the Exam Hall. Tell me, what qualifications do you have to be eligible for this opportunity of being on the most esteemed podcast, The Exam Hall?
I went to primary school. I went to Ludworth Primary School in Marplebridge. I went to state school. I'm a state school educated boy. I am actually from the north, despite what appearances. This is a very...
That is deeply... When I found out you were from the north, I was deeply surprised.
Yeah, I'm from Manchester. I can say things like Bath. Or up, or if I try to stick my actual accent on, it sort of comes out a little more like that. But I'm in London, so it blends in. Anyway, I went to Poynton High School. I did GCSEs, as we all did, and then we went to A level. I got AAB, which just about scraped me in the most, I think, still nerve-wracking day of my life into the University of Exeter on their drama course, which at the time sounded like a fantastic idea and still is. I'll stand by it. I got a wonderful education there. It's a shame that the rest of the university is slightly, there are Nazi leanings therein. They don't have a union, they have a guild.
What?
It's not like the uni leans. To clarify before the
student body.
Yeah. It's a lot of like Oxbridge rejects all go to Exeter. It's very Tory. It's very kind of white. I think I've taken possibly the whitest trajectory I could have done. I've come from, Cheshire to Exeter to now. I got a 2-1 from the University of Exeter. Then I met my best bud, Cherry.
Whoa! I've been upgraded to best bud already.
I was asked by the National Theatre to join their Young Writers Programme, which is what I've been calling it since. It was just a little...
It was just a little team,
wasn't it? A little team, but it was a wonderful team.
It was great, and I learned a lot about playwriting there.
Exactly, taken by
Here's a fun story from when the first time I met Patrick at that writers group. I don't know if Patrick remembers this.
I remember you in your red glasses.
Oh yeah, I had red glasses at the time.
Yeah, you did.
First time I met Patrick, he went, "Hi, I'm Patrick, and I think you must have introduced...
The first time, this is the weirdest thing. When I first met Patrick, he came up to me and he said, "Hi, I'm Patrick."
I think you must have introduced yourself by your first and last name, but that sounds really weird. You
Patrick
came up,
Swain.
you went, "I'm Patrick Swain." And I went, "Oh my God, like Patrick Swayze." And he looked at me dead in the eye and went, "Nobody's ever told me that before." And me not being able to tell he was like, not being able to read sarcasm, went, "Oh my God, really?" And he was like, "No, I hear that every time I introduce myself to someone." And I felt really bad. And I thought, wow, this man hates me and I'm never going to have any friends. But now we're best buds.
Yeah, but you say that, but I did introduce myself by saying, "Hi, I'm Patrick Swain."
Yeah.
What does...
We were too little. I think we were kind of drawn together.
Look, everyone in that room was deeply intimidating, and I picked you.
Was I not intimidating also?
You were the least you seemed friendly. You got a good vibe.
Shaped like a friend.
You've got a good vibe.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was like, yeah, I like to think I have vibes for people, and I mean, doesn't everyone?
You had a good vibe as well.
Oh, thank you very much. So we've been, Cherry's been coming to my plays ever since. I've tried getting her barred, but she's just, she
Just
changes her
hanging around like
she changes her haircut every time, and the picture is different. It doesn't, she's there. Anyway, and I got accepted very graciously onto the MFA for Writing in Stage and Broadcast Media at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama.
Gorgeous.
So I'm very privileged in that I've been able to get a master's degree, and I took the time where everything was locked down to kind of sit in a room and study. Unwatched, because that's what writers do anyway. And then after that, I was asked by the Hampstead Theatre to be on their Inspire programme, and I've worked with them for the past year to write a play. So that's kind of my education, because I was mentored by some wonderful playwrights there. So that's my educational journey up to this point. Good. But other than that, I'm 25. I have knee problems now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this what lies ahead of me?
Oh, believe me.
In the rocky road of the mid-20s.
I used to be able to run half marathons. I was fine. And then I turned 21. Run one half marathon without training. Not a good idea. It's just gone. I couldn't walk the next day.
Well, Patrick, I'm very glad that you are here with me today. Today's question comes from the 2021 General Paper 1. And it is there something to be said for boredom? ?
Yes. I would absolutely agree.
Tell me, what drew you to this question?
So I have ADHD. Unlike that BBC article that says everyone has ADHD, and it's just a fob off. I actually have ADHD. I'm being told to sit very still to stay in front of this microphone, and it is very hard. I ping off in all sorts of directions. I get distracted very easily. And on top of that, I have tinnitus, which means that sitting in silence is quite rough. It's my fault. I listen to music too loud. And so generally the idea of boredom and the idea of silence is quite a rough one. But I think there is definitely something to be said for that, for it. Mm-hmm. And that's because, and maybe this is nostalgia, maybe this is just me remembering the past and thinking times were better then. But I definitely remember before certainly touchscreen and immediate access to the internet, I could focus more easily than I can now. And I think my ADHD is fed by, and I think it extends beyond just ADHD. I think it extends into normal everyday life. I think attention spans are shortening so much by, like, as someone who works in long form entertainment, 90 minutes to 2 hours, as soon as a film gets even slightly boring, you see half the room itch for their phones. And I don't think that's their fault. I think it's the fault of this constant kind of look at this, everywhere there are screens showing you things. And I think without boredom, because humans evolved for boredom. We evolved to sit in caves. We evolved to sit in silence. We evolved to wait. And it's only the past 100 years where, before, can I, because I saw people were quoting fancy books. Go ahead.
Quote book.
In Jürgen Habermas's book, The Structural Transformation of the Public Sphere, It talks about how modern human society only evolved out of coffee houses in cities. You know, people being drawn into cities, and then within those cities there being like cafes and public spaces, because otherwise who would you see in your life? You live in a field, you see maybe 5, 10 people. Maybe you go to church, but church isn't really a place for discussion. You know, you go in, you hear the sermon and you leave. And even then, a lot of them were taken in Latin. So you don't really understand anyway. So you would you would just have to sit there. You know, you'd eat your meal and you'd go out and you'd work and you'd occupy yourself with your work. And then coffee houses came in and suddenly you could sit down and discuss with your friends. And there's this idea that modern human interconnection and thought and the idea of a public only really evolved in the human collective around the time that was allowed to occur. Because discussions and your ideas are then kind of locked onto this other person's ideas, and they talk and they think about it, and then it goes on to this other idea, and it's like a neural net of people which slowly evolves. Or just, you know, what we know as normal conversation and discussion and productivity. And then over the last 100 years, everything is, you've got telegrams, you've got, you know, phones, obviously. That's the big one. Instant messaging.
Yeah.
You know.
But there are quicker and more accessible methods of communicating.
Instant message.
With people across the world.
Yeah, exactly. So you have no downtime and you have no sense of boredom because you have an idea. You don't wait until you can sit on the phone and talk to this person. You have to certainly I do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I immediately communicate my thought. I immediately communicate my idea. And you don't sit with it. You don't let it evolve. Or I'm maybe getting off track here. There's something to be said about the private thinking and thought. And it's killing attention spans.
Yeah.
It's killing our ability to watch and absorb and let things resonate in our media. And I'd say it's also killing communication. Because you sit down and everyone has their phones out on the table there.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a second of downtime, someone's on their phone. And that's bad for me because I get on my phone and I am in my phone and half an hour is gone.
Phones are designed, I feel like everything is designed to grab your attention and suck you in. So no matter how hard you try, suddenly you look at your watch and you've been sat there for an hour and a half.
Do you have an Apple Watch?
I don't have an Apple Watch.
I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't want an Apple Watch.
I don't want an Apple Watch either.
That's the thing. Why would I want... And it was sold as such an amazing thing. You know, look, you can see when you've got a text.
Yeah.
Like, and you can reply. Why would I want to do that? There's and I guess it's good for like business people.
Sure.
You know, if you've got to immediately reply and that sort of thing.
But they're not marketed as this is for business people. This is like a way to keep on top of your task. It's marketed as
it's a way to keep on top of your health. It's a way to, you can do your music from your wrist.
So what you're saying is boredom it's a pool from which creativity and ideas can emerge. Is that what you're saying?
I think beyond that, I think further than that, I think boredom is a fundamental need for human beings to operate. I think. Because I think the higher levels of burnout that you're seeing, the higher levels of depression that you're seeing, of anxiety, and then is down to the fact that you never have a moment to sit back away. You know, and that's not just down to work. That's not just down to high workload. That's down to the fact that you get off of work and immediately you're in your phone. Yeah. Immediately. And you're not seeing one thing. You're seeing like 250 bright, colourful things, all of which are giving you, different bits of information and different things to learn. Yeah. And I think it also makes it more difficult to learn because you're not focused on memorising anything that you see. You're just focused on absorbing one bit of information, another bit of information, another bit of information. There is no regimentation to it. It's all just immediate and gone. It's wonderful. The internet is a wonderful thing. Like can you imagine what because I was born being told off to, for picking up the phone because my dad was going into a meeting because of the dial-up connection. I've still got those tones ringing in my head.
I'm just a little bit too late for that.
It was a black plastic phone black plastic phone that and it would make weird noises, and I'd pick it up, and I remember broadband coming in. I had no idea what it was, but it was good fun. And so I kind of saw the internet, or at least what we know as the internet, grow. I remember the moment, probably because it was such an important moment in, I guess, my life, which was the moment that I realized my phone had enough data to go on Facebook and send messages to people when I wasn't on Wi-Fi. Because I remember being at home, and you could send messages when you were at home, but suddenly I was at school. And
suddenly you can be below your desk and ignoring the teacher ways you couldn't before.
I know text messages are a thing. I understand that was available before.
But Facebook's different.
There's something different about it. And then suddenly you could just... I wanted to know something, I could know it like that.
Yeah.
There was no patience. And I mean, there was something wonderful, if we're going to go on to education, about university, about the moment where you could go into a library and sit down with a book, because you suddenly realised, the internet, sure, it has everything, but it has, there's still a joy in books, and books have so much more than you could just find on the surface.
Yeah.
The internet is so very surface level that kind of the richness of a book is amazing.
Yeah.
And the taking of time to leaf through all this compilation of information that this person has given you.
Yeah.
But
the internet nowadays,
I was amazed to see...
It has sped up so much more.
I was amazed to see that TikTok had a shop. That's I've seen ads on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. And obviously you can click through and it takes you to the website, and then you can do these other steps. I was amazed to see that TikTok itself has an integrated shop.
Yeah. Everything's
crazy
there. You don't have to look or search for anything anymore. Even in the fundamental app design of TikTok, it's not like YouTube anymore, where you have to sort of search for a video, and
it moves too fast to be regulated as well.
It's literally just swipe. You don't like it, swipe.
It's why I don't have it on my phone.
Yeah,
because I'll lose hours in it. Actually, no, I think I've reached a point with it where it is so fast that I'm deeply aware of how much time I'm losing within it, and therefore I go, no, this is too much. Yeah. And kind of, maybe that's because I'm 25, which isn't that old.
So old. It's decrepit.
But
got a gammy knee already.
Look, that was my fault. I accept it. Shut up.
I'm not saying anything.
Why do I find that so rude? I'm going to the gym. I'm trying to fix it. Look.
You have a gammy knee.
I just need to strengthen the muscles around it by doing Roman split squats.
You sound... so old.
I am deeply old. I got a protein bar in my
You're an old soul.
Always have been. I do barbecues now. I was gardening yesterday, I told you.
You're a proper barbecue kind of dad, aren't you?
Yeah.
I can just imagine you in a pair of jorts.
I lean into the
sandals
jorts, though.
And socks.
They're ironic jorts.
Okay.
I am a big barbecue fan.
Okay. Let's get back on topic.
All right.
So you're sort of talking about overstimulation and...
Yeah.
What's the solution, do you think, in a world where you're sort of saying boredom, it doesn't exist anymore, or it's limited? What's the solution?
I think first things first, I think there needs to be, and this is maybe radical, and maybe people won't like this, but I think maybe this is pushing the boat out. Maybe this is just too much for people to handle. But there's been this generation of kids who've grown up with iPads.
Yeah.
And they've grown up with phones immediately there. Because I understand it as a parent, feeding myself is hard enough. Feeding a child as well, crazy. And, the equivalent of, to have something instead of having to play with them all the time. I mean, we just got a new dog a year ago. My dad, bless him. She's called Minnie. She's lovely. But she's crazy. She wants attention whenever you don't want to give her attention. Like, you sit down to watch, again, Dad, the Formula One, and she immediately wants, or a film. Films are available. And she's immediately there, sat in front of you, dropping toys and barking at you at like 200 decibels.
Yeah.
And she needs attention there and then. And I mean, you bought a dog. You expected this to happen, but all the same, it's there and you don't want it.
Yeah.
If you could give that dog an iPad and it could entertain itself while you watch the race, it would be tempting. It would be deeply tempting.
It is, yeah.
So I understand it. And if you have a kid that, a couple of hours, I want to go and watch, what would you watch? Ready, Steady, Cook. I would. Reruns. You give the kid the iPad and it goes away and it does all of that stuff.
I think even like despite your best intentions, like, God, I've just got a Hoover. Let me give Timothy a little...
I was thinking of Timothy. I was going for Timmy.
Oh, yeah. Let me give little Timmy, the baby, the iPad for 15 minutes while I just sort out what I do. Then
it's on kids mode.
iPads are, technology. It's designed to addict you. Screens are addicting, especially to such a young child, and that
he's
spirals.
on YouTube Kids. He's only watching what's on YouTube Kids. But that's the problem, right? I think, radical idea, technology like iPads should not be given to children until the age of 12.
Okay.
I think I didn't get a mobile phone until I was in year 7.
Yeah.
And then I got like a Nokia brick because I am old. That was all that was available.
Yeah.
I went to high school in 2009. The iPhone had been out for 2 years. You need to your brain is developing. I mean, your brain's developing up until my age. I'm just downhill from here. But I think, limiting that while the brain is developing, that constant attention grabbing focus.
Yeah.
I used to be sat in front of the snooker when I was a kid, and maybe that's why I am how I am. But just sitting the child and making them watch one thing. If you've got to distract them, a kid will watch anything.
Yeah.
Make them watch the snooker and just let them be there. Don't give them something where they are tapping the fish or watching a new video, then a new video, then a new video, then a new video, then a new video. It's. I think that's an important step. And I also think education about screen time and screen hours is more important. Because I got none of it, and it was just exciting.
Yeah,
it was like just going it. And I think maybe this is something that needs to be done post-pandemic.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't want to be. I've forgotten the word. That's a good thing for a writer, isn't it? Problematic. I don't want to be problematic, but the pandemic wasn't good for me.
I mean, this question is from. When is it? 2017, I believe. Let me double check.
I think it was later than that.
2021 actually.
2021, yeah.
So I'm assuming this is sort of in response to a lockdown, this
Probably.
Question.
Because lockdown, what did most people do in lockdown? They spent their time on their laptops, on their phones, because it was the only way that you could get communication. And and it was deeply encouraged. And I'm not saying that people should have just gone back to living as farmers and living alone. No, you don't get to talk to your friends. But so many people woke up, went straight on their laptops.
Yeah.
Spent the whole day on video calls, just immediate attention and immediate stuff that I don't know whether that was good. And I think there needs to be maybe some weaning off of it. Because I know how easy it is for my screen time to go up to 5 hours.
Yeah.
And like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I know how hard it is to make my screen time an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It shouldn't be.
I think also sometimes just in the world that we live in, sometimes it's impossible. All so much work is virtual nowadays. If you're typing away on a Word document, no one's using paper and pens to do their filing anymore. You have to be in front of a laptop.
Answering emails. But then that's another thing as well. Because if you can answer emails immediately, why aren't you answering emails immediately? Why aren't you there? Why aren't you replying? It's awful. I know, this is getting very...
I hate emails.
This is getting very corporate. The memes were more fun to talk about. If anyone is still listening, let's talk about corporate emails.
So, as a writer...
Yes.
As a playwright and a screenwriter...
Yes.
How does boredom play into your creative process?
Well, I was listening to Simon Stevens' Royal Court podcast because I am a little simp. And thank you for that disapproving look.
I gave Patrick a very disapproving look and I shook my head.
It was a good...
You
My
so you
brain
were
just
listening to a
fucking glitched
podcast.
there.
You were
Yeah.
listening to a podcast.
I was. And David Eldridge was talking about his creative process. And I can't remember which playwright he was talking about, but they were talking about how they write. And the advice given to David Eldridge back when he was a budding writer, but it was that something should happen in your play every 7 minutes. Every 7 minutes, something new has to happen in order to keep the audience's attention. Like a drink has to spill, like a new or they have to dance, or
Okay.
a new revelation,
An action.
yeah. Something interesting, not just chatting.
Yeah.
And David Eldridge, who wrote the fantastic play Beginning, that if it's ever on, I would encourage you to go and see. And that's anyone. It's just a great little play. It's about two people who are after a house party who both like each other and are very shy and are trying to decide whether they want to sleep together or not. And it's a really nice will they, won't they. Although you're in the play, so they're gonna. But because that's one place, one time, one action, the whole way through, it's keeping it like...
I just remembered what the play this is, sorry.
It's Beginning by David Eldridge.
No, I just...
You remember I said that?
Didn't he do the second one? Where like he
Can you
did...
guess its name?
Middle. He did Middle as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's doing End, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how exciting. But he was talking about the fact that, because it's one place, one time, one action, how are you going to keep people's attention throughout? And he said writing for modern audiences, instead of 7 minutes, it's now 3 minutes. The advice is you have to write more stuff. So when you're writing, I'm now... Because film's always been tricky. Film is always... Certainly when you're being taught it, or when you're reading books like Save the Cat, which is the kind of screenwriting teaching book.
Everyone reads it.
Everyone reads it.
I haven't read it yet.
You've not read it?
No.
It's very arrogant. Blake Snyder, who wrote it, but is dead. So I'm kind of like, criticism? Ooh.
You can slag someone off if they're dead.
He's a knob. I'm sorry. Throughout the whole book, he's like, well, I've sold 6 scripts, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. One of his films was called Stop or My Mum Will Shoot You. It is frequently considered Sylvester Stallone's worst film. And his other film that he sold to Steven Spielberg was called Nuclear Family. And it's about, surprise, surprise, a family who come across nuclear waste and gain superpowers. And he was like, I'm the best. I'm the best at coming up with titles. You've got to be good at coming up with titles. And me, I've sold 6 scripts. I'm good at coming up with titles. Mm-hmm. He's not. But the book gives you like the basic screenwriting structure.
Yeah.
It's the US equivalent of Into the Woods by John York, of which I have 3 copies on my bookshelf.
Wow.
And 2 in my Kindle shelf. I don't know how they turn up there. They just grow. They just
spawn.
Yeah. Like asexual reproduction, like strawberries. Basically, film has always been, you need stuff. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's where it started. You're taught that audiences need a lot all the time. It's why like Fast and Furious films, jumping from fight to fight. I went to go and see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and there's a fight every like 5 minutes.
Right.
If you're sad enough to break down the Matrix, like I am, like I was page by page, it is you, and I highlighted all the action and all the dialogue scenes. And all the action scenes, every other scene is an action scene. And every dialogue scene, something else is happening at the same time. And so and I mean that maybe to try and, distract people for exposition, but it's also just kind of like audiences need stuff all the time. There is no time to sit back and reflect. Like you show someone something like Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders. He's German. And that's all just slow pacing. And you see people start to fidget. I start to fidget, and I consider myself a film snob. So that I think that's where it started, and I think there's an issue with playwriting starting to potentially merge in that direction in terms of what the official theory is maybe teaching. In that I am now thinking page by page, not like, oh, what's this rumination doing? What's this conversation giving us? How are these characters slowly developing? It is now when something else going to happen in the script. And maybe that's good. Maybe it's nice to keep people's attention. Maybe it keeps the play interesting and stops me from being overindulgent, which I am. But also I think it's a shame that that kind of long, slow Harold Pinter, slow evolving scene, I don't think would be programmed nowadays.
Trying to think what's on at the moment.
Certainly not a new writer. Obviously, it's stupid to say old playwrights are never programmed, especially not old white men. That's a silly thing to say, but do you get what I'm getting at?
No, I get what you mean.
But basically, 7 minutes to 3 minutes, you're having to write more stuff in to keep audiences' attention, and the audience's attention is always on your mind.
Yeah.
It's not just, are they going to be following this? It's, are they going to be actively engaged in following this? Or are they going to be itching to watch their phones or look at their watch?
Do you think that's a new phenomenon? Do you think playwrights back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, let's say, weren't thinking?
Oh, no.
Or are they going to be engaged? Do I have their attention?
They absolutely were. Like I say, but it was 7 minutes, not 3. So it wasn't less of a thing. Obviously, when you've got an audience there, you're like, I want to make sure the audience is having a good time.
Yeah.
But I think you weren't so like, oh my God, they could be on TikTok getting something new every 5 seconds. Sarah Kane was never thinking about what the audience, what their attention were going to be grabbed.
Yeah.
Or like Jez Butterworth in Mojo was never thinking about what an audience was going to be thinking of, or XYZ. That's stupid. But I do think now, maybe it's difficult to say because post 2015 playwriting's received a bit of a cut. You don't have as much new interesting, like that sort of impetus there. So maybe we've just not seen it.
As a writer, do your ideas come from being bored, or do they come from being preoccupied and engaged with something?
I think they come from me being bored.
Interesting.
But like when I'm distracted, it's a difficult one because they come at all sorts of times. But I think the most regular time that ideas come is just as I'm falling asleep, because ideas to me, they come from my subconscious, and I think I need to be excited by something. I need like something to seed my subconscious, something to kind of plant like the ideas within, or I just need the thought, and then like kind of like, oh, I need to fix this problem. How do I do it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's frustration. Maybe it's excitement. Maybe it's going to see Sexy Oklahoma on the West End and going, God, I want to rip that off. But it normally, if I'm on a walk and nothing's happening, and I go, God, nothing's happening, and you just let your mind wander.
Yeah.
Just let your mind wander. And I think that's so frequently what people call being bored. You've just got to let all of your thoughts just fall out.
Is that what you would define as boredom? Letting,
well, I think
mind wandering.
I get bored when that happens. I find myself feeling bored because I'm itching for more like stimulation. Like it's not the most exciting thing happening right here, right now. And so if I'm on a walk, I get bored, and that's when my mind starts to wander. I'd say being bored is when my mind starts to go. Yeah. Like I'm on a walk, I would call going on a walk compared to everything else, unless you're in the most beautiful place. Yeah. Unless you're in Yosemite. You're in the middle of a field and maybe there's cows. Actually, no, there's no cows. Cows are threatening.
Cow. Oh no, I love cows. Every time I see a cow on a walk, I'm like, damn, that's a cow.
I'm like, whoa, that's a cow. They're huge. Great big things. Yeah, I know.
And they're on the other. To be honest, I'm thinking about these cows like they're on the other side of a gate, or like they're in the next field over.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Same. Actually, no.
I'm in the field with some cows.
Same field as cows. I think maybe I would be a bit nervous.
They are inquisitive. Lots of people die by cow.
It's true.
That's not boring.
It's incredibly interesting.
But you're on a walk, and you've got past the conversational stage. Yeah. And you've got 3 miles to go, maybe more, and or you're on a run. I find running very boring because I like doing it, but I think
in the moment, not fun.
No, not at all. And you're moving, and it's kind of like you get past the "ow, this hurts" bit, and you get into the "God, this just keeps going" bit, and that is when it gets boring. And that is then when my mind starts to wander. Yeah. Because I'm trying to find other interesting things within my head.
Yeah.
And if I just let all of that, like that go, all of that kind of fall out, then sometimes within there is when I go, that's the answer, that's the fix.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I'm stuck in a hole when I'm writing, going on a walk, walking around the park, I think it's something about like moving for me. See, maybe that's why I was surprised when you were like, that's my definition of boredom. Because for me, I'm like, a lot of the time my writing process, I'll be like, I have the idea, I know what the shape is, or I know what it needs to be, but I can't get there, and I feel like I hit a wall. And that, to me, that's boredom. Or not, maybe that's not boredom, but I get like frustrated and I feel like I'm not going anywhere, I'm stuck here. And then it's me going on the walk and it's the movement. And so to me, that like that's not boredom, that's getting up and going. That's me stimulating myself. And
Interesting.
And then I think when I sort of get in a rut and I'm on my phone and I'm doom scrolling, sometimes I'm trying to get stimulation to my brain. Yeah. It's not good stimulation, but that to me is more boring.
They're both responses to boredom though. And I'd say the response because doom scrolling is an attempt to alleviate boredom by giving yourself everything.
Yeah.
So my response to boredom, my idea of boredom is nothing happening and therefore my mind is wandering. Nothing happening. Because maybe I consider walking nothing happening. Because walking is as normal to me as like sitting down.
Yeah.
I'm just going somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? Or I'm on a walk. And I'm it's hard.
What I love about these questions is when you really start to break them down, you then go, okay, what exactly is boredom?
Say I'm sat on a sofa. Let's go full David Lynch. You're sat on a sofa in a room, there's nothing there. Okay, we strip everything away and it's just me sat on a sofa alone in a room. I'd say that's still important because that's me trying to reclaim my attention span. That's me finding acceptance within myself.
Yeah.
And being bored by something is, with no walking, no nothing, no anything, is still a more natural human thing than going onto a telephone and browsing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And I guess maybe that's me discarding what is a new step in human evolution. Maybe that's me discarding, oh no, phones are the future, all this constant neural net of brains constantly interconnected.
It feels inevitable and it feels unavoidable.
Yeah.
And I think it's more just how
long it takes to go down the slippery slope.
Yeah, or how do you make sure we're using phones and the internet and social media in a productive way that sparks creativity instead of dampening it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm really interested in how the internet can be used to tell stories and to find new ways of being creative. Things like alternative reality gaming, ARGs, which for people who don't know, it's when people will use the internet as a setting and the way to tell the story. So they'll create fake websites and
that's fantastic.
Stuff. And the story, it'll be like a website for a fake company, and in that there is hidden a story. Yeah,
kind of like immersive theatre.
Yeah,
like online. Yeah,
immersive theatre, but instead of it being actors in a theatre, it's the internet.
I find that stuff fantastic.
I find that so
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
And there's a creator called Lucas Podomy, and during the pandemic, he created an absolutely brilliant series called Lucids, and it started with being like a weird TikTok sketch, which then devolved into this entire Matrix multiverse Inception series, and he played all the characters. And you know what, that came out of the pandemic, that came out of him being bored and being like, I want to create something. But he used the internet to tell the story in a really interesting way. So I think
that's another thing for boredom. It is often the spark to go and do something fascinating.
Yeah.
To not be bored. You need the moments of boredom in your life to be able to sit there and go, okay, what am I doing now? It both allows you a moment of contemplation. It allows you because I think boredom is often when the conscious which is difficult to turn off because that's just you. That's just who you are all the time. Is just uninterested by anything going on.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the subconscious is working away in a way that you don't know. You need those moments to then go off and ping off and do something fascinating. I remember at the start of the pandemic, I couldn't do anything. I was sat there just unable to work, and it was so boring because my brain wasn't giving me anything. I was sat at the table watching projects fall apart, doing nothing, running out of stuff, baking the same bread every day. And it just, and then all of a sudden, after a month and a bit of that, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of new stuff just leapt out at me. I think it often takes months of just sitting there going, my brain is giving me nothing and I have nothing and I am bored.
I think this is where we differ, because for me, the pandemic, it just dampened my creativity. And I felt like, I couldn't write, I couldn't do anything.
Interesting.
Because for me, when my writing will comes from experience and from living and from just going about in the world, and then I'll go, oh, this made me think of this and this and this. Whereas when I was just sat at home all day not doing anything, I couldn't write. I found it impossible to write. I felt like I lost the playwriting itch. And to be fair, it pivoted me a little bit onto poetry. I sort of, as we went a bit more into the pandemic, I think I found poetry a bit more. But for me, it just completely dampened it. But also, I think I was finishing my A-levels in the pandemic. Yeah. You had come out of university. So maybe it was that you'd had a bit more experience with writing.
Probably. I think maybe I don't want to say I'm like more theoretically rigorous, but I have like a writing structure.
I don't.
And I have the kind of thing that is like, even if you have nothing, you've got to put down something because something is going to come out of this.
See, I think that's my biggest shortfall as a writer, is I don't have any structure to my writing. When I say structure to my writing, I mean I don't have a routine when it comes to writing.
If I am writing, I will spend a couple of months planning, and I will I currently have a load of Post-its on my wall in my house.
I love Post-it notes.
Thank you. Oh, they're so good.
They're so good.
They're really good. They're good for like my ADHD, because I have an idea, it goes up on the board. Bing, bing, bing. Fantastic things. And they're pink, and they're just wonderful. And once that has grown into a full play, then I will, condense it and try and get some synopses out. And then I will sit down and I will go, right, I'm writing 6 pages a day, every day for the next 21 days. Or however long it takes, with a bit of leeway in there. And I will message a bunch of friends and go, this is my deadline. I will have a play to you by then.
Yeah.
You've got to be on it. And they go, okay. And then it's set. I've got to get this down.
Yeah.
And even if it's an awful first draft, some of it will be good. And then we can work on it from there.
You've got to start off with shit.
Yeah.
It's about the process and not giving up at the first hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I wonder if the constant stream of stimulation that you get in your phone nowadays stops people when they immediately don't have the end product. They go, well, fuck it, I'm going to go on my phone instead. I wonder if that,
It's an issue as well, because I find myself, like if I'm writing and I stop writing, I will immediately like swipe on my laptop because I'm on my laptop. So I'll just start, I'll find I'll have Googled something.
Yeah.
And that's when I'll like consciously go, shit, I've Googled something. When did that happen? And I'll go back and be like forcing myself to write again. And it's so annoying because I'm like, and it's gotten worse recently. It's constantly kind of getting worse because it's constantly what we rely on all the time. And so writing is getting harder. I now give my phone to my partner whenever I'm about to write.
Yeah.
So I don't go on it. Did you come to see Strawberry Flavoured Gummy Session?
Yeah. I loved it.
Didn't you? Yeah.
I loved it. It was great.
That was weird. That was a weird play. I got bored writing that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
But why did you get bored writing it?
Well, maybe there's I think that comes to the idea of, when we were talking about writing and you were saying it's free flowing. You got to go through, and I was like, no, you got to be regimented.
Yeah.
So I was writing that play for 2 years, and for 2 years it was all I was writing, and that is not good. Certainly not for me. Certainly not when you've got the attitude of you got to keep going until this is finished because that's your job.
Yeah.
And the Hampstead has gone through some difficult times over the past year. They've lost their literary manager. They've lost another literary manager. They've lost several other people. And so the contact I had kept changing. And so who I was talking to kept changing. And so the idea of the play kept getting muddled and muddled and muddled until I was essentially kind of trying to bag up some mush into what felt like a play. And I think it turned out all right, but it is... Do
you think that was good for the play? Do you think...
No, I don't think that was good for the play. I mean, the play itself is quite scattered.
Yeah.
And I can't decide whether it was always going to be scattered, and what happened in the Hampstead aided that. Because, I mean, the play, for listeners at home, is about depression and about suicidal ideation and about the idea of repetitive spiraling back down to that dark place.
Yeah.
And how it feels when you feel like you've recovered to go back there again. And so I can't decide whether that kind of Hampstead spiral was good for the play, and that kind of shattered nature was always what it was going to be, or whether the shattered nature is in, part and parcel of what happened around me.
That's really interesting.
Because it's definitely my most abstract play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the entire building falls apart at the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
It was never getting put on, so I just wrote it for like Royal Court budget.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it.
So in that way,
yeah,
boredom wasn't good for you, I guess.
I don't know. It's an odd one. But boredom, again, these are such good questions.
Yeah.
They're so down the middle. Like is boredom good?
Yeah,
you should,
of course.
as a human being, experience boredom.
Yeah.
We answered the question.
Yeah.
Bing, bang, bong.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think boredom for too long is bad. Boredom for too long is bad. Boredom for a short amount of time, good. Thank you for listening to the example.
You need boredom to move you on to the next thing. Like it's the thing between like you don't want to get stuck.
Yeah. Like I'd call meditation being bored for 15 minutes. I'd say you're going and you're locking yourself away and you're shutting yourself off with just yourself.
Yeah.
Which I would define as, certainly after a while, boredom.
Yeah.
Have we been defining boredom correctly?
I don't know.
I've not a clue.
You know what? Let's get the dictionary definition
there you
up.
go. We should have done this at the start, shouldn't we?
So the first thing you get when you type boredom into Google, boredom, noun, the state of feeling bored.
Define bored.
Okay, here's
Go on.
Wikipedia.
Okay.
In conventional usage, boredom, ennui, or tedium is an emotional...
Ennui? Got a bit... Oh. Ennui?
Ennui? Okay.
Do you feel ennui? Do you feel a little bit in your bones? Sorry.
Okay, let me start again. Let me start again while you abuse my fucking microphone with your forehead. In conventional usage, boredom, ennui, or tedium is an emotional...
Why is ennui in there?
Is an emotional and occasionally psychological... Fuck off! In conventional usage,
yes.
Boredom, ennui, or tedium is an emotional and occasionally psychological state experienced when an individual is left without anything in particular to do, is listlessness and dissatisfaction arising from a lack of occupation or excitement, is not interested in their surroundings, or feels that a day or period is dull or tedious. I suppose boredom looks like something different to everyone. Because some people would probably be like, oh yeah, meditation, I love it. It's not boring to me at all. And it's about getting over boredom, maybe some people would say, about meditation.
Yeah. I'd say ever since kind of mindfulness sneaked into my life, like through a door, thanks to school therapy sessions, I'd say boredom is a little harder to come by, because whenever I have a moment to myself,
Yeah.
I'm generally, or maybe that's an ADHD thing.
Maybe.
I've been informed by, again, my therapist that the fact that I think too quickly is absolutely down to my attention deficit disorder. Because my brain is just constantly searching for things to think about. And so it does. And if I get bored, I generally just go to sleep. Or I can find the smallest things interesting.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the ribs on this sofa, the little corduroy stuff. Ooh, what's that? That's interesting.
You know? It's sort of, when you look at it for too long, it makes your eyes go a bit funny.
Yeah. Or when I was bored as a kid, I used to look at the knots in the wood on my wardrobe doors and imagine little bugs in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I ain't getting bored. I can absolutely lose myself in some knots of some wood. So there you go. I am an interesting person, I promise, to be around.
Okay, Patrick. I'm going to say pens down.
Okay.
We're drawing this conversation about boredom to a close, and I'm going to ask for your thesis statement. That's a really hard thing to say when you have a lisp. Give me your thesis statement to the question, is there something to be said for boredom?
Concisely.
It's a thesis statement. This is the conclusion to your essay.
To conclude, there is absolutely something to say for boredom, especially in the modern day and age where there is constantly something pining for your attention. There are literal jobs which are all about grabbing your attention and stopping your focus from, moving away from your phone, from Twitter, from Instagram, from TikTok. There is something to say for every so often taking a step away from the world and refinding yourself. Because certainly recently, I've discovered there is definitely more world out there than just my phone and my laptop. And that is, seems like an obvious thing to say. But in the modern world, where everything is based on your phone or your laptop.
Content.
Exactly. Being able to go, I can just go for a walk. I can just sit in the garden and read a book. I can just, not at all go on my phone at all. I can live my life without it. It's it feels like such a radical thing to say. And I think that revolution begins by being bored.
Wow. I could really hear those lambda classes coming out in that last little...
Thank you. I leant towards the microphone.
Yeah.
That's all that happened.
Yeah. But I also... Okay, whatever.
No. Compliment me.
You're great.
Thank you.
Now,
Yes.
All Souls only lets in up to 2 people every year.
It's 2 people a year.
2 people a year, up to. Sometimes it's 1.
That's not
One time, it was no one. They didn't think anyone was good enough.
That's not a college. That's a room.
Well, it's
All Souls College. Welcome to one bed.
like they have multiple people, but they let 2 new people in.
This
up to 2
this is
new
All
people.
Souls College. Where is it? It's the shed down at the bottom of the garden.
They let
It's got a nice crest over the doorway. Go on.
I mean, maybe it is just some people sort of in a shed insisting that they are important academics. I don't know. I haven't been.
It better be fucking spectacular. Imagine the dinners. I have nothing. I'm just imagining a very small table.
Yeah, very small table.
One chef. It's Jack. He's back. Talking about, sorry, I was promoting your ennui, but I brought your oysters.
Oh, I hate you.
Thank you.
So they only let in up to 2 people every year. One year they didn't let anyone in.
Why?
Because no one was good enough according to their standards.
No one was good enough.
No one was good enough. They didn't think anyone was good enough to be let in.
Fair enough.
However, here at the exam hall, we do not gatekeep. Everyone's welcome.
But you do gaslight and you do
I gaslight and I girl boss. So Patrick, I've looked at your application. We've reviewed it.
If you turn me down now, this will be genuinely heartbreaking.
It's gone for our gaslight and girl boss moderators.
Thank you.
I am very happy to welcome you into the alumni of the exam hall.
Fuck yeah. Fucking brilliant. Very excited. Thank you, everyone. I am pleased to join my classmates, whose names I remember, who've come before me. And I look forward to welcoming future members into the club.
Gorgeous. Now, if you get into All Souls, you are given 7 years of funding to complete any research project that you want.
Oh, God.
They give you salary, you get bored. Not bored as in you get bored, like they give you board. They give you somewhere to live.
I did, because after talking about boredom for like God knows how long, I was confused.
So they give you a salary, they give you somewhere to live.
Nice.
You can study any subject you want at Oxford. And you're given contacts with leading individuals and scholars in your field. So essentially, removal of a large majority of barriers.
Sure.
Financially, you're good. If you had 7 years to learn and discover whatever you want.
Whatever I want.
Free of financial burden, what would you do, Patrick?
See, my head is entirely on boredom and looking at the public sphere at the moment. So, I mean, I would need time to step back and think properly, but at the moment it would be taking 7 years to investigate how to properly and whether it's possible to separate, humanity, certainly first world humanity, from technology, and what the decent role of constant phones, constant laptops, constant everything is. Or maybe you're investigating the effects of the pandemic on kind of the minds of the youth, or that sort of thing. You're really taking time to investigate how the world can do better. Obviously, there's also looking at climate change. There's looking at that sort of thing. There's looking at either not how to reverse it, although that would be nice, but the main thing we need to do now is halt it and stop it.
Yeah.
So maybe just using the money to hold for ransom the families of oil executives. What a joke. But
for legal purposes, that's a joke.
Exactly. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But for 7 years, unlimited resources, I'm saying it could be... No.
Exam hall does not condone kidnapping and...
I don't condone kidnapping. I wouldn't do it, nor do I condone violence.
What would sort of 7 years to just sort of learn mean to you?
For me as well,
yeah.
Maybe it's looking at new creativity in the public, in the public sector in the UK. It's looking at developing new talent and trying to solve class inequality in the creative sector. That's an interesting one. Looking at how we can try to fix the kind of Nepo baby thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Because so many people from my state school did not get to the point where I have got because of kind of, that. Yet so many people from like Habs and Eton and that sort of thing have all just been able to continue that. I can tell you why. That's funding. That's funding from parents and passion. That's a stupid one to consider.
How
I genuinely can't think. I'd need a good amount of time. That's a fantastic amount of resource, and it's a fantastic amount of time.
Is that what it would, if you sort of had 7 years without any financial burdens, is that what you think it would be to you, just the time to stop and think?
No, I would use it to study something. You got to do something. Mind you, I do think I would get bored over the course of 7 years studying the same thing. mRNA vaccines, they're fascinating. They're amazing things. Cancer treatments, individualized, customized vaccines for cancer. That's an amazing thing. Although I don't have the intelligence to look into that.
No, that's out of left field.
That's a bit out of left field. We're just looking at things I'd be interested in right now. Graphene, also interesting. The future of transport, also interesting. There's lots of stuff, Cherry.
Yeah.
Did you want one single thing?
I mean, whatever comes out. It's just that I normally people are like, I would look at X, Y, Z. So this is quite fun.
What have we had in the past?
Mavish on the pilot said that she wanted to look at food writing, and for her, it'd be the ability to travel. Lachey talked about she would look at how sort of bringing arts to unrepresented groups.
That's good.
Katie, who was my last guest, was basically they were like, I would spend my time at All Souls researching how I could deconstruct All Souls and send that information out into the world. So like not like deconstruct gatekeeping, essentially.
Deconstructing gatekeeping is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at education and whether it is possible to provide a university education for everybody in the country is one that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And to second and back that up, it is looking at whether universal basic income would be possible in the modern United Kingdom and whether it would prevent people from working, whether it would remove the impetus to do.
Interesting.
Because I think universal basic income would be fantastic for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It would remove a lot of stress from modern life. It would remove a lot of stress from creatives.
Yeah.
It would remove a lot of stress from the ill. It would remove a lot of stress from the elderly.
Yeah.
And I think the arguments that it removes the wish, the need, you know, the drive for, I have to do this because I need cash, it is a silly one. You know, I don't think things would grind to a halt. And I think it would also, in the 21st century where like AI, where machines are taking over so many jobs, I think having just the ability to live, again, to go out in the world and be bored, to travel, to go and see things, to go to concerts, to, you know, just be able to take time away and be with the people you love, to see the world and to just experience life without the 9-to-5 grind.
Yeah.
Is a privilege that I think we as humans over the past 100 years have earned.
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting to study whether it is feasible and whether the argument that it is economically unviable and just generally intellectually unviable is correct.
Looking back to your time in education, did you feel like you faced many barriers?
Let's face it. Look at me. I am white.
Yeah.
I am English.
Yeah.
I'm male. I am recently bisexual. But in a manner that has not impacted my life at all. I don't think I have really, apart from things like, say, and I mean, I got onto the National Theatre's Young Writers Programme and I got on to Inspire, but we were talking about, and it's not discrimination against men.
No.
It's not anything like that. It's positively bringing up women in something that is desperately needed. But it is interesting that now there are definitely less opportunities for people like myself in the world of the arts. There's less funding opportunities. There's less money for things. I certainly can't kind of make films, you know, all year round because most of the opportunities for funding are based on people who haven't previously had that opportunity, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I won't lie, it is slightly frustrating, but it is absolutely needed and I support it 100%. So there's a barrier there. The only barrier I can concretely talk about, and again, this is an immensely privileged thing to be able to say, that this is the barrier that I faced. As a neurodivergent person, my A-levels were really hard because I was going through some traumatic things in my personal life, and that really kicked the ADHD into gear. And so focusing on exam questions, I ran out of time so often. I would get lost in the exams. I can't do exams really at all because of it. Because I will get stuck in a question and before I know it, something I was meant to have 20 minutes for, 40 minutes has gone. And that's taken time away from a previous, a future question. And it's not that I cannot answer the questions. It's that I simply lose time. And that sounds so odd for me to say, because it is very odd to talk about to someone that hasn't experienced it. That's the barrier I've faced, really. ADHD, because it has consistently come back to bite me. It's come back to bite me Yeah, at school. Yeah, at uni, where in projects I was seen as kind of the lazy one. I'm not kind of, I just get unfocused and be physically unable to kind of try and make myself interested again in a project.
Yeah.
But definitely in exams at A levels, yeah, losing time sounds like a stupid thing. Like, what a kind of stupid person would just lose the time.
It's a symptom of.
Exactly.
And it's not just you losing time, it's your brain having the inability to grasp time or perceive it, really.
And I got into uni, I scraped my way into Exeter, like scraped. But it was like so touch and go.
Yeah.
Because those exams, and again, that's not even a barrier because I got in. But at the time, just the idea of doing exams and the idea that is how we separate people is ridiculous to me.
I think, I'm not lying, even for like neurotypical people, I don't think exams are a good way of grasping intelligence of, I don't think it's a productive way to learn. As you know, I was working in a school for 2 years and I had to get kids ready for exams, and I felt so bad because it'd just be like trying to fit someone into a box that wasn't designed really.
What's the meme?
For anyone.
The meme's telling an elephant, a chicken, and a monkey to climb a tree, and that's the exam.
That thing.
Yeah, that one. That good old boomer meme.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I won't lie. I'm coming from an immensely privileged position. I came from state school. I don't have, getting to university, I wasn't able to fit into a lot of things that, you know, people going around going, what school are you from? Where did you study? And it's like, I studied at Poynton High School in the north. And they're like, oh, because, you know, and they wouldn't talk to me. Because they went to
Really?
Harrods. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it'd be that outright.
Yeah.
You didn't go to a grammar or private, so we're not talking to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or they'd walk off and they'd go and find their group, you know? There was like, oh yeah. You know, it's levels of privilege and it's ridiculous. And that's not me denying the level of privilege that I have received throughout my life and that I come from.
Yeah.
But I'm saying some things are just insane. And yeah, Exeter, the whole history friendship group that I ended up kind of orbiting, never truly being accepted in because of, I guess, where I've come from. But the kind of group there all went to haberdashers. That sort of thing, you know? It's good crack.
Wow.
That's me though. I'm deeply privileged, but I'm doing my best to try and help people who aren't. My big kind of cause in life is taking new writing and making sure those opportunities and those stories from people who haven't had the opportunities that I've had.
Yeah.
And that's specifically university as well. Just the atmosphere of being able to go to university, have all those people around you, have that lack of need for money, lack of need for rehearsal space and that sort of stuff, and find a way to give people that who wouldn't otherwise have it, to let their voices be heard. That's so important.
Yeah.
And I that kind of my life's calling, I guess, is trying to find a way to give people that back.
Well, Patrick, thank you very, very much for being here and for talking to me.
If anyone's here still, it's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.
It's been a grand old time. Before I say goodbye, is there anything you'd like to plug, promote, shout out?
I don't know. I might have a play coming up later this year. You should come and see that.
Okay. Where can people find updates about this play?
You can follow me on Twitter. That's at @planet_Patrick.
Stunning.
Thank you. There's a short film coming out at some point. There might be a Kickstarter for that. If you can chuck a couple of quid, we're trying to get it edited and finished.
Where can they find information about that short film?
They can find that on my Twitter. That will be at @planet_Patrick. What did you want me to say?
I thought you were going to plug...
Caged Bird?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Follow @CagedBird_LTD. Or just @CagedBirdLTD. It's one of the two. We're big boys. We do things.
Nice
it's good fun. Thank you.
It's great fun.
The bird. Have a good time, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. It's been lovely to chat. Thank you.
And I'd just like to back that up and say Patrick's great and Patrick's play is great. And if anyone with money is listening, or if like the head of the National, the Royal Court is listening, can you just like program him, please? So then I can go and see it.
I'm really, really love doing what I do, and I'm very lucky to be able to do it. And I love working with people like yourself, Cherry. So thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to see your
so
stuff.
nice.
And we'll keep going. We'll keep moving on up. Friends with friends.
Oh,
Lift up your friends, people.
Lift up your friends. That's a nice last message to finish on. Thank you very much for listening to the Exam Hall. My name has been Cherry Eccles, and it still is Cherry Eccles. And I think it probably will be for the time being. For the foreseeable future, it will be Cherry Eccles. If you liked today's episode, please give it a share, give it a rate, tell your friends and family. That'd be great. If you want to keep up with the Exam Hall and everything we've got going on, you can follow us on social media at the Exam Hall Pod. If you're interested in what I'm up to, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Cherry the Eccles. That's cherry like the fruit, the like the word the, and Eccles not like the Lancashire pastry, but Eckel. And you can also find me on YouTube, Cherry Eccles. Thank you to Boundless Theatre, whose support made this podcast possible. Thank you to you for listening. Am I missing anything? What do you normally do at the end of a podcast? Thanks to God. Yeah. Praise be to God. Praise be to Payman. Praise be to Zeus above and Hades below. Yeah, baby. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a lovely day. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.